Good day to everyone. My name is Darelle van Greunen. I'm a professor at the Nelson Mandela University in South Africa. I'm also the director of the Center for Community Technologies. It is indeed my privilege and my pleasure to be speaking to you today on the topic of creative and digital economy, a new fusion for innovation. I guess on the African continent, we sometimes underestimate the value of the innovations that we have done here and what impact such innovations could have on the rest of the continent and globally. So I'm going to share a little bit of a vision today as to where I think this could be going and how we could be doing that in going forward. On the screen, you see a face that is hopefully quite familiar to you. Yes, if I were to ask you, you would probably at least recognize Steve Jobs, the man behind the Apple computer. Steve Jobs made the statement that I always thought of myself as a humanities person as a kid, but I liked electronics. Now we know where Steve Jobs ended up. He managed to very successfully combine his humanities person with that of his electronics person. So when we look at this whole matter of innovation, the digital economy and all of that, you may ask yourself, what is the big deal? What are you on about? Why should we be concerned about this? And I think it's very easy to confuse the creative economy with the digital economy. But on the other hand, it is also very, very important that we remember that we cannot separate them because in many ways they depend on each other. And there are so many examples that we can think of, and I'll come to some of those in a moment. But when we think about it, there are many creative industries that would not have existed if we did not have digital technology. So digital technology includes the use of video games, for example, films, movies, publishing. All of those things have been transformed by digital technologies. We are now able to, if you look at today, me sitting in South Africa and talking to you in this manner. How creative is that? And how innovative is that? When we think of recent developments in the film industry, I think one of the best examples probably at the moment is that of the movie Black Panther. Now, if you've not seen Black Panther yet, I would encourage you to try and do so. The whole notion of Wakanda that was created there is an ideal example of the fusion of digital creativity with the digital economy. As you may or may not know, the movie has been nominated for about 5 Oscars, the highest accolade that any movie can receive. So, yes, we cannot have the one living independently from the other. Another industry that is very, very dependent on the whole digital economy is that of tourism. Think about it. If you want to go somewhere today, what do? You go online and you make your bookings. No longer do we use travel agencies and things like that. We just do it online. So without the digital economy, the creative economy, the tourism economy, the health economy, the education economy, all of those economies would suffer tremendously. So let us dwell for a moment on what is the digital economy. There's so many definitions of it, but I think the image that we see on the screen illustrates this in the best possible manner. The digital economy relates to economic activities resulting from billions and billions of online connections. And these online connections can vary between people, businesses, data, devices, and processes. If you dwell for a moment on the internet per se, it is no longer the internet of things, but the internet of everything. There's very little in this world that can happen without the internet when it comes to the digital space. So for people to execute processes, they need data, they need devices. For businesses to function, they also need data, devices, and processes. And how do we bring all of this together to ensure that what we do will build on what we currently have and make a huge success out of our economies? And the only way to that is more than likely to look at the digital economy per se. As I mentioned just now, in terms of the digital economy, it's impacted by many different elements. But if we look at how digital technology is used within the entire economy, it makes a lot more sense when we unpack the digital economy. So we can say that digital economy consists of ICT plus digital media and content. This has a major impact on a variety of sectors. Some of these sectors include the tourism, which I'm sure you're very well familiar with in Zimbabwe, the health sector, where we have digital health solutions, we have telemedicine, we have e-health, m-health, banking and insurance, online banking, international trade using the internet, commercial solutions whereby people can do online purchases, online flight bookings, online everything. And then we have smart agriculture, where mobile technology in particular is used to support farmers in very remote areas to harvest crops, to give them advice on what to do with specific diseases, etc. Of course, then there's the notion of the city and mobility, smart cities. Slowly but surely, we are moving towards that on the African continent. In South Africa, we have some elements of it, but not entirely yet. Probably one of the best examples in Africa is that of Rwanda, when one looks at what they have managed to achieve in terms of creating a smart city with mobility. It is just incredible. And of course, most of that happens through use of mobile devices. And then there's education and training, where we use blended learning approaches with online solutions whereby we post information to students, we share lecture materials, etc. Moodle is a very good example of that as an online learning management solution. Also, the sector of industry such as the automotive industry, manufacturing, where there's a lot of digital technology being used in that. In South Africa, in the part where I am, that is the automotive hub of South Africa, we have many factories where there are robots assembling vehicles. But before you get worried about that, yes, they assemble the vehicles, but they are still overseen by human beings. And remember, a robot can only do what a human tells it to do. But having said that, it does not detract from the fact that the digital technology plays a very, very important role in the digital economy. And when we put that together with digital creativity, we could only have a win recipe. So I've been referring to the creative economy. And I think we need to look at what this creative economy means. From where I stand, I come from a very different background. My background is not only that of technology. I have studied in the legal fraternity, I have studied in languages, human sciences, the humanities, the technologies, all of those. And I think the creative economy allows us as technologists to challenge our ambitions, to change people's lives, and to think of new ways of doing things. It also allows us to develop new business models. So the creative economy, we need to think about how do we unpack that so that it makes sense in our environment. And I'm not suggesting that we should adopt the different creative economies from Europe or from the US or places like that. We have enough of our own creative economy on this continent to stimulate very many new ambitions and new ways of working. And again, I'm going to say, remember the mobile phone. Things that we do with a mobile phone on the African continent has not been done anywhere else in the world yet. So just now I spoke of the film industry as one example of creative industries. Let's look at some of the others. Advertising. Advertising happens in many different ways. It could be via messages on your phone, it could be on television, it could be on the radio, but there's always a digital element attached to that. Television, I need not even speak about television. Without digital, there is no television. There are so many apps available for art that people can download to help them understand how to exercise their artistic and creative ambitions. These apps for art include music, it includes painting. There are a myriad of videos on YouTube that people can go and sit and watch on how to paint and how to do things creatively. The film industry, the music industry, the fashion industry. Fashion designers do not only use paper and pen and fabric, they very definitely also use technology. And they use the technology to create the digital images of what they envision their fashion garments to look like. ICT for education. I've spoken about Moodle, the importance of using learning management solutions for blended learning, but also just in a very simple manner, little video clips or podcasts that can be shared and distributed to bring across an educational message. Architecture. If we go back in the history of architecture and we see what people do nowadays with digital technologies in architecture, it is absolutely astonishing. They can show you an entire completed house without anything being built yet. Now that is innovative and creative. Digital design, the internet, web pages, that is all part of digital design. And then, of course, video games, be it on your cell phone, be it on your laptop, be it on your tablet, be it on your PlayStation, whatever. Digital technology plays a very, very important role in that.